Before you jump into the video, be sure to comment, rate, and subscribe. Alright guys, what's going on? TheAireaidLord's here, and welcome to a different type of vlog. Even though I have The Walking Dead in this corner, I'm not going to be talking about The Walking Dead today. I'm actually going to be talking about a company that most of you probably didn't even know I was partnered with. And it's a long story about how I came to be partnered with the company that I'm going to be talking about today, Machinima. It was in January of 2012 that I was partnered with them. A few YouTubers that I knew at the time, including a friend of mine who recommended me to, at the time he was the hiring manager for Machinima. His name was Rishi Chadha. He's actually on Twitter still. He changed jobs to being a Twitter gaming recruiter, which I didn't even know Twitter had gaming recruitment, but I mean, that's good for him that he found a job that's kind of, in the same field as he was before. He was super nice. I remember back in the day, you just sent a link to him, and there was a recruitment staff, and they would take a look at your channel, how many subscribers and videos you had, views per video, and then they would offer you a partnership based on if you were in that range or not. And back in the day, YouTube partnerships were actually they were sought after much more than they are now, because there were actual perks with being in one of these partnership networks, and there was actually a competing tier of partnership networks that were available at the time. If you were part of a partnership network, you had sort of a protective barrier around you when you uploaded YouTube videos. You were protected from, not entirely, but you were partially protected from copyright claims and the content ID that comes up with copyrighted music. Now, this was a huge thing at the time because YouTube was doing a lot of that. They were doing a lot of the content ID matches, and that would take away ad revenue. And so if you were managed by a partnership network, you were given the benefit of the doubt. So if any type of issue of that nature happened, Machinima would step in and say, well, this guy's partnered, we vouch for him, we don't believe that this is a problem. If there is something that they needed to take a look at, they would actually message you. Machinima would come to you and talk to you about the problem and come to some sort of agreement to rectify it. Even in the case of copyright strikes, I remember over the time that I've been doing the Walking Dead reactions, a lot of the copyright strikes, I've had them removed, or I've had videos that lost ad revenue that never regained them. Because like if a copy strike, there were a bunch of kind of false copyright strikes that happened with a lot of my Walking Dead content. Once I disputed them and the videos were restored, sometimes the AdSense and the ad revenue wasn't re-enabled. So I had to tell, and there was no way for me to do it. So I had to tell Machinima about this problem, and then they went to YouTube, and then they had a direct line of contact with YouTube. And then they were able to reinstate that. So, because and it still is the case that YouTube has a terrible customer service department. They've been improving. It seems like they're trying to move towards improvements where they have more engagements with their users. I think too little too late. You've had this platform for 13 years, and you've had these major YouTubers for less than that. So I don't see why it's taken so long to get to this point with all of the users and millions of viewers and content creators that you have. But regardless, it was a major, major perk to have Machinima in my back pocket, fighting for my YouTube channel. I used to, actually back in the day, they would give free access to certain gaming conventions. So I remember I was trying to get free access to New York Comic-Con. They did give me free access to PAX East. Back when they had a staff that handled a lot of those external events, they were in the up and up. And that was in the year 2012. Pretty much the first year that I was with Machinima, I tried to stay engaged with them as much as possible. Every time I'd send an email, they were very quick getting back. And now there's a different system where you kind of like submit like a ticket request, and then someone gets back to you, and it's like it's basically Machinima's customer service department. Before, you had a point of contact. So Rishi Chadha, who he partnered me, I could bring a lot of my issues and complaints to him, and then he would kind of move them up the chain. So, but even if I had something that was unrelated, which would be in the realm of conventions or asking for access to conventions or things that Machinima could do for me as one of their partners, he could connect me with the correct department. And it's funny because on my own personal LinkedIn profile, I'm finding some of these employees who either used to work at Machinima or still work there, and I recognize their names, and I reach out and I'm like, hey, we talked like years ago about this convention or this issue, and then they respond. They're like, oh yeah, and so they remember. It's it's pretty cool because you usually remember the names come up. And Machinima, it's not a big company. They're owned by Warner Brothers now. I guess they got bought out by Warner Brothers. That doesn't really change much. For me, it didn't really change much. I mean, it was kind of technically like a partnership through Warner Brothers, but it was always the Machinima name. Machinima had its old logo with the red and black, and now I think it's green. So, again, I can't speak to the changes that Machinima is going through. I think, you know, they've changed radically as a YouTube channel and then as a partnership network. They've had to make changes. They've had to make cuts, and in 2012, I think the ad bubble burst. And that was the period when you started to see in 2013 where Content ID music matches, partnerships could no longer protect anyone. That was the whole copyright mass claim in that December of 2013 when they just started mass claiming videos. And it was a shit show. I remember that was a very frustrating year for you. The end of 2013 was a super frustrating year for using YouTube because not only did you have that, but then you also had the Google Plus debacle, which ruined comment sections and destroyed the website. And then they, of course, retracted that because they realized that it was a stupid decision, like everyone had told them. So yeah, that was a very frustrating time because, you know, I had been partnered with Machinima for a year, and it was interesting because in the first part of 2013, I did a playthrough, which is still on my YouTube channel, called The Countdown to Grand Theft Auto 5. Now, this was obviously before GTA 5 came out. It was the spring of the year before it came out. And I did a marathon of every single Grand Theft Auto game. I tried to play them all, start to finish. I used cheat codes for GTAs 1 and 2 because those on the PlayStation 1, they were very difficult games. So I needed, that extra assistance. But what was good was that there is, I mean, you guys know, when you play, anyone who's played Grand Theft Auto, there is music on the radio stations, like recognizable music and tunes and tracks that are very popular. And a lot of these agencies, third-party companies that have affiliations with music records and record labels, they'll go after you saying, hey, like, you can't use our music. They'll mute the video or claim it for themselves and then make money. So they'll go after you for that, and they still do and still will. And what's interesting is when I was first doing all of those Grand Theft Auto videos, I was actually immune. Because of my partnership with Machinima, I was given the benefit of the doubt, like I mentioned earlier, so the entirety of 2013, except for the November and December when the rules changed, for those months when people were viewing it, which is the important period, I was able to do that. I was able to not have my videos be claimed. I could just make the money and not have that nonsense going on and make those GTA videos, because then sometimes the videos would be muted. Sometimes they would just be muted and I'd be talking over the car radio. And also the radio stations in GTA, it's part of the immersive experience of the game. I know these companies get all, they get so bent out of shape that you're simply trying to enjoy the game. Like, didn't they already get paid a license? Rockstar said, okay, we would like to give you this X amount of money to have your song in our game. That was when the record company was paid for their music to be in the game. So why, when it's being redistributed, it should be Rockstar making the claim, because Rockstar owns the game and everything in it because they paid the music for the license. Again, the copyright law on this is very ambiguous, super arbitrary, very ambiguous. And I still wait for the day that it goes to court, but since I don't upload videos of that nature as much anymore, it's not something that I'm going to get completely bent out of shape and make rant videos, because there are many videos in the past where I've talked about this. I've talked about how copyright claims and music IDs and stuff, content IDs, affect YouTube channels, affect revenue. For larger YouTubers who do it for their living, that affects them majorly, of course. So major issue that was happening. But Machinima, before they kind of changed their policies, really helped me with all of that. So I appreciate that. I do. And their contract that they gave me back in 2012 was very reasonable. I can tell you guys, at the time, I wasn't even allowed to say what it is, but now I can because I'm not even on that contract anymore. It was, for every 1,000 views, you get $2. So back then, the goal was to just get as many views as possible, because then you'd get 2 times however many views you got. And so back in the day, there were some months when I knew there was peak game releases or peak for The Walking Dead. My channel would collect sometimes large sums based on that. Now, it was always just chunk change. Like, I don't want to over exaggerate here. Like, my YouTube channel has never been for making money. It's always been just to make fun videos that I want to make. I like The Walking Dead, so that's why I make it. And it's all the money that comes in. It's just chunk change. Like, I just use it for, you know, random appliances to pay off bills and, you know, that come in. I mean, I have my own income and my own job, so I don't really need, you know, YouTube's just the thing that I do. It's just a thing that I do in my free time, just whenever. I sometimes go 4 or 5 days without uploading a video, and then all of a sudden I upload a video. So it's arbitrary, and especially now that we're in the down season for The Walking Dead, and it's not coming back till October, there's a lot of open space and a lot of things, you know, that I don't know what I'm going to be doing with my channel. I'm playing God of War right now, and I'm loving it, and I'm thinking of making a kind of a review video. So far, I'm like halfway through the game, I think, and they just keep adding content. That game is incredible, so I think I'm going to either upload more gameplay of that or do like kind of a review video for it. But not to get off topic, talking about Machinima, one of Machinima's recent revisions of their policies was that they can apparently terminate a YouTube channel at will if it doesn't abide by their policies in terms of like ad-friendly content. Because again, YouTube with the whole adpocalypse thing, more and more issues. I don't want to go into YouTube's whole history of how they deal with videos, but a lot of the changes that Machinima has made are in direct relation to changes that YouTube has made to its website. And that's the major problem that has occurred. Machinima has had to change with the trends of the platform that they mainly produce content on. So if you are trying to say, hey, I want this type of contract, or I want to upload these types of videos, or I need your guys' help, they're not going to give it. They're not going to give it. So, and Machinima's support has kind of gone down less and less and less. The new contract that they offered me a year ago it wasn't even a year ago. It was in September of 2017, because I had a 5-year contract with them from 2012 to 2017. It ran out in 2017, and then they said, okay, you can renew with us again, but the terms are different because it's based on ads. It's not based on CPM anymore. And I was like, fine, okay, whatever. It didn't make sense for me to drop them. I was just like, fine. Like, again, I only use the YouTube channel once in a while. There's no reason. I've put in Machinima on my resume that I work with them, so it's fine. It all works out. But then I received an email a week or two ago, I think it was a week ago, that said that they were releasing me because they, in their effort to stay within YouTube's guidelines, they didn't believe my channel abided by the guidelines. Now, what they're referring to is two things, one of which I don't know how they didn't notice this. Actually, both of them. The copyright strikes, which I still have one for episode 10 of season 8 of The Walking Dead. They don't like channels that have copyrights now. I guess if you get one, whereas before with the old Machinima, they would vouch for you and fight for you. Now, if you have one, it's like a blemish, and instead of being put in timeout, you're just kicked out completely. So, again, they're in panic mode because of how the way YouTube's been treating them. So, again, the worse that YouTube gets, the worse that they get. So they're trying to cover themselves. And again, from a business perspective, I understand that. But the other thing is the type of content really wasn't in tune with what Machinima does. The term Machinima is machine cinema. Back in the day, that was using the game engine of a video game to tell a story. So classic Machinima, like there's a YouTuber I love, and I still watch his content because he still makes it. John C.J. Graham used to go by Digital Fear. He has a series called Arby and the Chief, and that is Machinima because he uses the Halo 3 and Halo Theater mode to capture gameplay and then tell a story with it. That's what Machinima is. Machinima is not people talking over a Call of Duty commentary going 26-0. Like, that's not what Machinima is. They uploaded that content over time because that was the popular gaming content then, but not anymore, you know? So I've been uploading The Walking Dead content since mid-2015, and at the end of 2015 was really when once Season 6 started, I did full reaction videos, all of Season 6, all of Season 7, and now all of Season 8. So 3 seasons worth, and only a week or two ago did they finally somebody must have finally taken a look at my channel and said, this guy's just uploading Walking Dead content and an occasional video game video here and there. I still upload video game content. I uploaded the intro of God of War a few weeks ago and with some funny commentary over it. So yeah, I still upload gaming stuff, but they must have, again, the majority, as I've said, which is true, the majority of my content now is Walking Dead. So they must have said, well, this doesn't really fit into these live reactions and everything you're doing. It's not really under the Machinima umbrella. I kind of agree. And then they said, all right, well, we reserve the right to cut you loose. And for me, that's fine, because the number of, since I have 10,000 subscribers, they actually told me I qualify for the YouTube partnership program, so I could just still make AdSense, but it would be on YouTube's little contracty thing. But again, now that, if you think about it, now that we're in the period where partnerships, contracts of that nature, they don't mean much anymore. Being with Machinima does not mean what it did back in 2012. If it meant what it did in 2012, I'd be upset and disappointed that they cut me loose. But that's not the case. Like, there's nothing Machinima can really do for me anymore, other than trying to contact YouTube, which at this point, YouTube's improving that system. So if I'm just a YouTube partner, talking to YouTube, doing my own stuff, like, that's honestly fine. And for me, like, I'm trying to kind of move into my own brand, and it doesn't really make sense to be tied to Machinima anyway. So it was kind of inevitable that this was going to happen. I probably should have pulled the plug a while back, but they made the decision easy for me. So yeah, that's fine. Basically, my time with them officially ends in a few weeks in June. They gave me like a 30-day notice. But again, nothing changes. Like, after I leave Machinima, I just go on the YouTube AdSense program. So, and I think that I make more. I think they said to me, like, I would make more money with the YouTube AdSense program, because with Machinima's contract, like, when I make ad revenue, they're taking a chunk, Machinima is, and then YouTube's taking a chunk. But if I'm just with YouTube, wouldn't it just be me and YouTube splitting the money? Like, at this point, there's, again, no reason to be with Machinima. Back in the day when they had those 1,000 views equals $2 contracts, those were good. But now, now it's kind of, it's just irrelevant, you know? There's just no reason kind of to be with them. And, you know, and this isn't mean to say, like, I think it's just the truth in terms of business. Like, I think that they're dying. I think in a few years, Machinima will go out of business, just because, again, this YouTube model of these partnership networks and such, like, it's losing momentum. So many YouTubers that used to be able to sustain YouTube as a living because of adpocalypse, because so many advertisers are tired of dealing with so many hate videos. And again, YouTube has done nothing to help people get rid of hateful content that has ads on it. Advertiser friendly, but honestly, what they end up doing is they end up hurting the YouTube videos that are trying to abide by the rules. They get screwed anyway. Like me, whenever I upload a Walking Dead video, I get an advertiser unfriendly thing because the word dead or Walking Dead is in it. And, you know, oh, The Walking Dead, that's a scary show. You know, we're not going to give you as many ads. And it's like, what the heck? Like, I've been monetizing this stuff for years, and now all of a sudden certain advertisers just don't want, like, how can you have a sustainable business model where you're only giving me partial ads based on the type of content? Like, it's too violent. Like, what's the perfect cookie cutter content you're looking for that abides by all your rules? I don't know. Again, I don't want to make this a rant against YouTube. I think I've said what my piece with Machinima. Again, I appreciated the time that I was working there. They were a great network. A lot of the individuals were very helpful. Zach Boone, Rishi Chadha, and I'm just naming some off the top of my head. I think I'm going to try to send this to them. because this isn't a video obviously made in ill will. This is just a video saying like, hey, I really appreciated my time there, and you guys helped me back a lot in the past, and even 2015 when I had some copyright issues, and then, you know, moving forward, I understand the YouTube landscape kind of screwed you over. It's just kind of what happened from a business perspective. So I, you know, kind of bid you farewell, and I'll move through the process on my terms that are just, you know, between you and me, not in a public sphere. I'm just making this kind of for people, other partners maybe that have left Machinima recently or in the past, and then my fans who didn't even, maybe some of them didn't even know that I was with Machinima. Some of my long-term fans will remember that I was with Machinima. And again, there's still an archive of videos on my channel where I talk about this, the whole process. So the history's there for your consumption. So so with all of that said, I'll bid you guys farewell, and just kind of, you know, an update video about that. And yeah, I'll catch you guys later in the future. Thanks.